Getting knocked down on the football field makes you tough. But getting back up makes you tougher. At Goodyear, we call that determination. A willingness to put in more hours, more reps, and more heart to reach a bar that's sky high. Because the Goodyear blimp doesn't show up for just anybody. So don't be just anybody. Be blimp-worthy. Goodyear, more driven.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to day. Worry about my posse getting jumped. Cause if we ever do, yo, TB, pop the trunk. Cause we make a pop the trunk and hit the switch.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
WHAT.
You change the intro every time.
UPDOE. What up, Dow?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
We putting it on wax. It's the new style.
We are Jalen and Jacoby. What do? We get the people.
Yes.
We're back.
What? They won.
The Browns have won 2 games in a row. This time they beat the Bengals. What was interesting about this game, though, is the Bengals have a special assistant to the head coach named Hugh Jackson, who just was the head coach to the Browns. After this interception, gave the ball to Hugh. After the game, Hugh chases down Baker Mayfield, tries to pull him in for the bro hug. Mayfield gives him the stiff arm and gets a pat on the head. Jalen Rose, what do you think about these low-key, kind of sort of sneak disses toward their former head coach?
Well, he wasn't successful as the head coach. And usually when that takes place, players in the locker room are happy that you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of how it works. Unfortunately for him, when you're unemployed, you're trying to find a gig. So Marvin Lewis is going to give me a gig to go back to Cincinnati. You can't knock him for trying to have a job in the NFL, especially after he struggled. So I understand that the players probably took it some type of way, that they're playing against a team a couple of times a year, and their coach decided to join their squad, but he didn't actively pursue the gig. He got fired.
It's not just that. It's like, you are our head coach. You put in all these defensive principles and you drew up all these plays for us, and now you're going to get paid to tell all of our secrets to the Bengals, because we play the Bengals just a couple weeks after you got hired.
It happens all of the time. But more importantly, I want to stress, this really doesn't speak well for Hugh.
No.
Because you're on the Cincinnati side, and you're supposed to be familiar with everything the Browns are doing.
Exactly.
And then y'all get
You were supposed to be the
like
secret sauce.
No other team has gotten thumped by the Browns in years.
I hope next week he's not even on the sideline. In the Sunday night game that I made the mistake of staying up late for, because I thought Aaron Rodgers was going to do another crazy comeback. Didn't happen. The Vikings beat the Packers, and part of beating the Packers was the limbo celebration. Adam Thielen was a human limbo bar, and they went underneath. Soft move or boss move, the limbo celebration.
Boss move.
Really?
Terrific celebrations that are now taking place. At first, early in the year, we complained that they were a bit mundane.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, they've picked up. So
they picked up a little bit.
I appreciate this. And also, I tell people all of the time, the national media appreciates Aaron Rodgers' greatness, and rightfully so.
Yes.
But as somebody whose team plays in the same division as his, it seems like people overrate the rest of their roster.
Yes.
Like I've said on this program, the Bears and the Vikings are clearly better than the Packers. So I'm not surprised.
Well, the Packers had
undertaking.
They had a lot of injuries last night specifically, and especially to their line. It just seemed like Aaron Rodgers, once he put his right foot down to end his drop, he was just like, gotta move. And all the passes that he completed were passes where he had to run out of the pocket and make something happen.
How about this? Under Mike McCarthy, the Green Bay Packers have not drafted an offensive skill player in the first round.
What? Huh.
Just think about that.
Great nugget. What? You've been doing some research for Get Up, haven't you?
So what that says is they have Aaron Rodgers, and when you look at the teams that they're playing against, if you were going to pick top receivers and top backs from yesterday's game, you would take Thielen.
Sure.
You would take Diggs.
Cook.
You would take Cook before you took anybody on Green Bay. And then when you look at their defense, Clay Matthews was kind of supposed to be to that side of the football where Aaron Rodgers was to the other side of the football.
Slowed a little bit after 10 years of playing professional
They drafted Ha Clinton Dix in the first round. He's not there no more. They had 2 sacks and 0 interceptions yesterday. That's just not going to get it done. So their football team isn't complete.
Shout out to the Vikings. They did look like a complete football team. And Kirk Cousins looks like that
Griffin
guy.
Back.
He looks like that guy. Yeah, he had an impact. Their defensive line looked good. The Steelers did not look good against the Broncos. I mean, this was a game that was just riddled with offensive mistakes from the Steelers. I mean, here we're going to get the block, and there were 4 turnovers on the 1-yard line. This turns into not 7 points for the Steelers, 2 points for the Broncos. Sort of semi-unfortunate, but you got to hold on to the ball there. There's a pick for Big Ben, and then this one is another on the 1-yard line. That was to the very end of the game. He called a fluky interception. Dog, if the defensive lineman didn't intercept the ball, then the linebacker who was covering Antonio Brown was definitely going to intercept the ball. There's 2 Broncos there to intercept the ball.
So the first piece of footage where you show the Pittsburgh Steeler about to cross the goal line, he got folded like a chair.
Yeah.
I give credit to the defense on that one. Okay, like he got broke off. Like plays like that is the reason why people like me decided I'd rather play basketball than football. Now, Big Ben as a quarterback, if you look over the past few years, hasn't been really good on the road. Remarkably better at home than on the road. On that final play, now Connor has been doing a great job of filling in for Le'Veon Bell.
Yes.
But he hasn't escalated. And so he had a fumble earlier in the game. And also on that last play, he and Ben bumped into each other.
Yeah, it was a little funky. Like when you watch that, because, you know, I was like, oh, this is the end of the game. It's a close one. Let me see Big Ben come back. And you watch that play. It just didn't look right from someone who watched a lot of football.
Correct. And so the Steelers, because they're explosive on the offensive side, are going to be in a conversation amongst teams, in my opinion, like the Chargers, Texans, a level down from the Kansas City.
And the Patriots.
And you got to obviously pay attention to the Patriots because you know they're going to win their division.
But you made a good point about him not looking great on the road. And you also mentioned when you lose games like this, you don't host a lot of playoff games.
Correct.
And that's slipping away from them right now. You know, they had a big win streak going. If they continued that, maybe they'd be hosting playoff games and advancing through the playoffs. Now that's all in jeopardy.
But Juju be getting out the gate.
Well, now that we're talking about playoff seeding, we say we give to people what they want on this program, Jalen Rose. We have to discuss something.
What?
The Michigan Wolverines on Saturday. I was so excited for this game. I was so excited for this college football game. You're just gonna leave. Okay. Oh, he's gonna get the bat. Oh no! Jalen's going to the bat. Jalen divorced the bat like 2 years ago on the show. And okay. Oh no. Jalen Rose, you had the floor. What did you see from your Michigan Wolverines against Ohio State?
Since 2004, we've beaten Ohio State in football once.
Ooh.
And that time when it happened, I didn't say anything.
Okay.
And when you lose 14 out of 15, you say even less. I said leading up to this game, anybody on the podcast, anybody on the television show, I will not slander in any way, shape, or form the Ohio State Buckeyes because they own us.
Oh, I'll slander the Wolverines, though.
They own us.
But, Jalen, that was like the best defense in college football. It didn't look like it.
You know how many sacks we got? None.
0.
The best defense in football. We had 0 sacks. And I actually did another piece of research that's really going to trip you out. And it pains me to do this. But, like, I got to deal with this 364 more days of my life. Okay, again. So, I was like, why are they beating us? Like, what keeps happening? So I was like, okay, maybe it's because they're probably better and more talented. That helps.
Doesn't seem like they're better coached.
So since 2004, they have 83 NFL draft picks.
The Ohio State Buckeyes.
We have 53. They have 23 first-round picks.
To be fair to Jim Harbaugh, though, some of that isn't on him.
That's why I'm not saying.
Yeah.
This is not an indictment of Jim Harbaugh. This is a celebration of The Ohio State University and how they continue to create an atmosphere that fosters elite level talent.
Yep.
Period. Like, just think about it. 2 years ago, when we played against them, who was running the ball? Oh, that was Ezekiel Elliott. That's right. He's really good at football. Yep. Like, these are the people that we're playing against. Like, true story. And I was always pay attention to the D-backs drafted. 15 since 2004. We've had 4. So you have to give them credit. And I know in rivalry games, you throw out the records and you say talent don't matter. And yes, it does.
Oh, Jalen, no. But here's one thing you're not mentioning.
Matters.
Here's one thing you're not mentioning. It wasn't even close. I was like, hey, maybe 50-50. I don't know who's going to win. But if you would have told me that the Wolverines were going to give up 62 points, Jalen, 62 points in a football game. It wasn't a basketball game. It was a football game. The Wolverines gave up 62 points. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I was secondhand embarrassed for you. And then you're going to come on TV and be like, well, let's celebrate the Buckeyes. Because you don't want to say anything negative about the Wolverines. 62 points. There's number 1 defense.
There's like, when you've been humbled and dropped to your knees, you got to own it. I ain't about to be the guy up here sticking out my chest, singing our fight song.
Talking about next year.
We got thumped.
You got thumped.
I feel the exact same way the players feel, the coaching staff feels, and all alums feel. OH owns us.
They do. Let's get it, people.
Each one of Tissot's timepieces delivers quality performance and traditional luxury. The Tissot Chrono XL is a great watch for those looking for a sporty chronograph with Swiss technology at an unbeatable price, while the Tissot PR100 family of watches brings together sporty and feminine details for a collection that is bold, romantic, and ideal for the modern woman. You can shop Tissot at us.tissotshop.com and at select watch and jewelry stores nationwide. Follow hashtag #ThisIsYourTime and Tissot.us on Facebook and Instagram for more information.
Jalen Rose, Jimmy Butler has not been in Philadelphia long, but man, has he made an impression in a tight game against the Nets last night that came down to the wire. Guess who had the ball? Guess where he was? Guess what he did? Jimmy Butler rises up, finishes with a go-ahead 3, leaves just 0.4 on the clock. He's shot from the exact same spot with the exact same reaction against the Hornets just 8 days earlier. Jimmy Butler getting buckets, big buckets for the Sixers. What do these big shots tell you about his current fit and what it says about him in the locker room?
Terrific fit, and it gives me an opportunity to say a life lesson. Now, we talked about Jimmy Butler going to Philadelphia and giving them not only a closer, which he's shown to be, but also a legitimate all-star level big 3 that catapults them into contention.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The part about teaching is repetition. Now, it's one thing to show both shots and show both results. But anybody that wants to be good at something, you are what you continually practice. You are what you take time and invest in.
You don't think it's the first time he's taking a step back?
No, the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. And the play that stands out to me the most is Ray Allen, Game 6 at Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Bosh gets the rebound, kicks it to Ray Allen. He finds his way behind the 3-point line. He didn't think about the shot. He didn't think about the moment. He didn't think about the contest. All he thought about was, I've done this so many times. It's repetition. That's what I see from Jimmy Butler. That's what I appreciate about his being a part of their squad so far.
Well, the news isn't all good from Philadelphia. Yeah, they won those couple games, but there's something bubbling under the surface that's been a problem with them for a couple years now, and that is the play of the number 1 draft pick that they traded up to get, Markelle Fultz. We are going to show some clips of him looking extremely awkward, but it's not just these isolated incidents. His shoulder's hurting, and now there are reports that Markelle Fultz is not in the long-term plans of these 76ers. Read between the lines. What does that mean to you?
It means that once we got Jimmy Butler, we resigned to realize that Markelle Fultz can never live up to number 1 pick status with this team.
Mm-hmm.
And it ultimately will be best for both sides if he's going to play in the NBA for it not to be in Philadelphia, because that cloud is going to always be there.
And there was a lot of question, and we've been asking this question on this very show for over a year now with Markelle Fultz. Is it physical or is it mental? Is it physical or is it mental? At this point, I feel like the 76ers is like, we don't really care if it's physical or it's mental. We're kind of tired of trying to fix it. And the only reason we're really not telling you how we feel is because we want to trade him and we don't want his value to go down.
Well, the clip of him shooting free throws, that's clearly physical.
Is it?
Yes, that's a physical act of knocking down a shot from 15 feet that never changes from middle school to high school to college to the pros. I just hope it's not something happening away from the floor that makes us all look back at how we handled this situation and gave a level of commentary about his mental stability.
Of course.
That there isn't something else to it. That's why during his scenario, I haven't made any sweeping judgments either, because this has become more bizarre for me than anything else.
It has. And I think that the Philadelphia 76ers, they're just like, you know what? We're going to stop trying to fix this. We're just going to move on. And we're going to move on as well to a team that has just devolved into chaos. At first, the Wizards were off to a bad start. You're like, maybe they'll put it together. A lot of teams have started off to a bad start and put it together later in the season. Then there were reports of everyone being available via trade, including John Wall and Bradley Beal. And then there were reports of screaming matches in practice. There are reports of Bradley Beal saying, this is what I've dealt with for 7 years, and nothing good is coming out of DC, and they're not winning basketball games. Jalen, what do you make of the current chaos in our nation's capital, and what do you think becomes of it?
The one thing about chaotic situations, especially in sports that are driven by salary caps, is a lot of times it starts from the top. Mm-hmm. So initially, Ernie Grunfeld, the general manager, in particular giving $100+ million to Otto Porter to play the wing. Not that I'm not happy that he didn't get his bread. The problem is when you do that in today's NBA, you're going to need that guy to guard Kawhi, KD, LeBron. He's not living up to that level of productivity. You bring in Scott Brooks, who's done a good job in OKC. Can't say the same thing in Washington. Gave him a $35 million deal. Don't want to fire him so early in the deal and have to pay him.
No.
And then you go to the roster. John Wall hasn't been that perennial all-star level, double-double, get you a couple of steals type of performer. And his Supermax
extension doesn't even kick in yet, and they're talking about trading him.
And obviously you wanted to take care of Bradley Beal, even though since the beginning of their beginning of them being teammates, there was always a discussion of if a fracture existed.
Yes.
And then in the offseason, you signed Dwight Howard. He was trending this weekend. Yep. He hasn't been the answer so far basketball-wise to help turn around their fortunes. Nope. So now I think it lends to a situation where you have to now lean on your assets. Morris is in the final year of his contract.
And playing pretty well.
And so now you try to figure, what can I get the best deal for? John Wall or Bradley Beal?
Do you think any team wants John Wall, knowing that there's 5 more years on this at a very large price?
Yes is the answer to that question, and I'm going to give you a team. I'm not going to just answer your question.
Give us
I'm
a
going to
team.
give you a team to watch. The Miami Heat. That's the team I want you to watch, because when you're a leader of a situation and it's been reported that you cursed out the coach, that's going to turn some teams away. So it immediately makes me look for the teams that have strong leadership. Mm-hmm. And guess what he would not be doing in Miami?
Cursing out Eric Spoelstra or Pat Riley?
Not going to be able to do it. But yet he's a really talented player that they can now get the best out of in the Eastern Conference.
I have to say this, though, and it's not fair to John Wall that I say this, but I'm going to say it. I don't know if all the rumors of partying, I don't know if Miami is the best fit for him.
I got to tell you something that gets lost in media. And I see media members do this a lot.
Do it. I just did it.
It don't matter if you in L.A. It don't matter if you in D.C.
We can get it in Milwaukee.
You don't have it in Miami. Now, it matters if you in, like, Portland. You know, it matters.
Like Portland.
I'm just saying, like, it's more off the grid.
Okay.
It closes at 11.
Sure.
You know, that's what I'm saying. The places that you take a nap before you go out, it don't matter where it is. It's all the same thing when you got bread.
Okay.
This idea that, oh, I'm going to get it in more in L.A. than I am in Miami. Like, that's so overrated when you got millions, especially.
Right now, it's time for News That Matters. Jalen Rose, right here where we live in New York City, someone posted this on a community message board. They said, someone keeps delivering soup to my house with a note that says, quote, soup for my perfect little soup boy. I appreciate the free food, but I don't like soup. Please stop doing this. Day after day, they're getting soup delivered to them anonymously from Seamless. Jalen Rose, if someone was delivering you free soup, would you eat the soup? Would you appreciate the gesture? Would you be creeped out?
See, I'm the dude that grew up in an era where, of course, we order pizza. Mm-hmm. But I ain't the dude yet that's ordering Uber Eats and all of that. I ain't on it. I ain't doing it.
What if someone else was on it for you and sending you soup?
If I'm not doing it for myself, I'm definitely not eating something that somebody else is sending me for the exact same reason you wouldn't eat it.
I would definitely eat it, but I would be creeped out by the note. Don't call me perfect little soup boy. You can call me soup boy, you can call me perfect, but you cannot call me perfect little soup boy.
I'll do carry out when I go pick up the food from the restaurant. When somebody else is going to pick up the food from the restaurant and then that person
doesn't work at the restaurant.
Too many people.
We don't need a third party involved in this.
Yeah, that's like flying to the fun.
I think that's fair. Upstart has revolutionized the way that people borrow money by going beyond the traditional FICO score and offering personal loans. They take into account factors like your job experience and education would determine your interest rate, not just the score. It's quick and easy. Checking your Upstart rate is free and has no effect on your credit score. Your Upstart rate check takes just 2 minutes. If you're approved, you can get your funds as soon as the next business day. Pay for just about anything. When you're approved for a personal loan with Upstart, the funds are yours and yours alone. Use them to pay off credit cards. Use them to consolidate your debt. Use them to eliminate your student debt. Use them to make a large purchase that's important to you. The choice is yours. Here's the thing. Upstart offers personal loans, but they're not like the ones in your bank or credit union provides. That's because Upstart goes beyond the traditional score to assess your worthiness. 2 minutes is all it takes. The next thing you know, as soon as the next day, once your loan is approved, the funds can be transferred to you that quickly. Over 100,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit cards, to fund their wedding, or to simply make a large purchase. Now it's your turn. Hurry to upstart.com/Jacoby and find out how low your Upstart rate is. Checking your rate, again, just takes 2 minutes and will not affect your credit. Do it right now. Go to upstart.com/Jacoby. Jalen Rose, we're going to talk about every single game that we haven't discussed thus far.
We're not going to just talk about the teams in the NFC East?
It's no fan left behind. We put 30 seconds on the clock and cover it all. Are you ready to start?
We ain't going to just talk about the Cowboys?
Nope. We're going to talk about Andrew Luck and the streaking Colts who beat the Dolphins. They had a big win, but it was this play that I want to discuss. My man, Jacoby Brissett, the backup quarterback at quarterback, throws in the flat to who? Andrew Luck, but he gets leveled. Did Jacoby Brissett mean to try to get Andrew Luck murdered so he could get in the field?
That was actually a big play and a big catch when it took place during the game. Jacoby was like, you know what? Maybe I could get in the game.
I'll put this up a little high. I'll put this up a little high for him.
His ribs open.
I loved it.
But the Colts, their offense the last 7 games has been phenomenal.
They look good.
Andrew Luck, elite quarterback.
But can they challenge teams like the Patriots, who beat the Jets? I mean, they didn't dominate the Jets the way you would expect them to, but they beat the Jets. It was encouraging as a Die Easy Patriots fan to see Rob Gronkowski perform the way he did yesterday. What did you take away from the Patriots win over the Jets?
The Patriots managed this perfectly with the Gronk injuries, working in Gordon, getting Edelman back. You know why? Because this is the easy part of their schedule.
Yeah.
The second easiest remaining schedule.
It's not their fault. They're in a terrible divifield. It's not their fault.
They're going to get it together. They're going to win their division, as you just acknowledged. They're going to be in position to have home field advantage along with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Another team in the AFC that could definitely challenge my Die Easy Patriots, the Los Angeles Chargers. They are charging. Sure, they beat the Cardinals. No big deal. But they look good doing it, 45-10. The Chargers have won a lot of games. Can you see this team challenging the Chiefs and the Patriots in the playoffs?
I can, now that they got Joey Bosa back. We got to see what happens with Gordon and his injury. Eckler plays well, whether he's on the field or not, but they're definitely going to need Gordon. But shout out to Phillip Rivers. Anytime you're in the same draft class as Big Ben and Eli, and they both had 2 Super Bowls, that's what you're going to be compared to. So for him to go out and continue to play the way he's playing has been terrific.
He had 25 consecutive completions. 25 times he dropped back and found his receiver. Granted, it was against the Cardinals, but still, any NFL team, that's hard to do. Yeah. Coming up next, we had the NFC least matchup between the Eagles and the Giants. The Giants jumped out to an early lead in this one that the Eagles eventually won. This was not encouraging win from the Eagles' perspective.
Bad coaching by the Giants. You give Saquon Barkley 15 touches in the first half. He rushed for over 100 yards, gets 2 TDs. In the second half, he only get 5 touches.
It's odd when this happens.
Like, how much do I love 3-down backs? The Giants have one. The Cowboys have one. The Rams have one. It's not that hard. Not many people have one. When you have one, feed him.
Well, there was a game between the surprisingly bad Jaguars and the unsurprisingly bad Buffalo Bills. But all I care about from this game was this tweet right here. Do you remember when Jalen Ramsey saw this training picture of Josh Allen dropping back and said that's a pick waiting to happen? The Buffalo Bills just sat on that tweet for months and months and months and responded, this didn't age well. Jalen, your fellow Jalen, had a lot of things to say before the season started. Coming off of that AFC Championship loss where they looked good and he looked great all season last year, hasn't really worked out great for him.
But this is the beauty of sports, in particular professionals, when all people are getting paid to do this for a living. The Buffalo Bills didn't have a pulse as it relates to going against the Jaguars and making it some sort of rivalry. Now the tweet makes it a conversation piece. Now Allen is motivated to perform well, just like the team. Before you know it, you lose it to a team that you never would have thought you would.
The Ravens can't figure out who their quarterback is, but I can't figure out why they are 6-5. It was Lamar Jackson yesterday, and now your man, John Harbaugh, he says that he is not going to announce who the quarterback is. Why wouldn't it be Lamar Jackson?
It's going to be Lamar Jackson, but make sure you talk about their defense. Okay, it's stout. Judo had 3 snaps and 3 sacks.
And that's crazy.
3 snaps, 3 straight snacks. 3 straight sacks. Can't even say it right.
He probably had 3 snacks too.
And
he probably had 3 snacks
my
too.
guy T Sizzle got
really
a TD.
quick. The Bucks beat the 49ers. I did not take a look at this game for a second. Not for a second did I look at this game. I have no idea what happened to this game. I'm not going to lie in the microphone.
This is one of those games where Jameis could get his stats up.
Yeah, there's one every week. There's one game every week where it's like no one's playing for anything. Like Jameis is kind of playing for his contract. It was just a mess. We're not even going to discuss it.
A Sport Clips championship haircut experience makes you feel like your hair has its own walk-up music. Maybe you play sports. Maybe you play sports online. Or maybe your sport is keeping up with your kids. Your hair deserves its own walk-up music. And at Sport Clips, we make it easy. A game-changing cut from a stylist trained for guys while you're surrounded by sports. Hair this good needs no introduction, but you'll want one anyway. So get in line online at sportclips.com/check-in and get your hair in the game.
Everyone's talking about Duke going undefeated. Is Duke going to go undefeated this year, Jalen Rose?
Not going to be able to.
Jalen Rose, we do a lot of talking about the National Basketball Association around here. Not just in this room, but at the network. And it seems like there was a consensus before the season started that, we know who's going to be in the finals. It's going to be the Warriors and it's going to be the Celtics. We kind of felt that way the last few seasons, and it did come to fruition. Cavs, Warriors, Cavs, Warriors, Cavs, Warriors. We took it for granted that it was going to be Warriors, Celtics, and the play thus far during this season between the Warriors and the Celtics has not supported our arguments. The Warriors, they did lose 4 in a row for the first time in the Steve Kerr era. And then they needed this putback bucket from Klay Thompson to beat the Kings after blowing out the Blazers. This wedgie helped as well. Jalen Rose, what is going on with this Golden State team?
They'll be just fine once they get fully healthy. Draymond Green was dealing with a toe injury. Boogie hasn't played, and obviously Steph Curry isn't performing. Those are 3
important pieces of the Warriors puzzle.
So when you look at the sum of their parts, you would say, KD's been an MVP. Clay's a perennial all-star. They should still be winning. but it has depleted their depth from a team whose moniker was strength in numbers to now rely on our all-stars.
Let's take a look at exactly what you're talking about, because this is fascinating to me. Look how much minutes these people are playing. Quinn Cook, almost 28 minutes a game. Jerebko, seems like every time I watch the Warriors, Jerebko's on the floor. Looney at 20 minutes a game. Damian Jones, almost 20 minutes a game. And this is just the last 6 games. But this graphic right here really shows you what's going on with the Warriors.
And those are quality minutes on the best basketball team in the game that's going after a third championship. It just shows you how Quinn Cook was a player that came from the DG League to now earn the right to get a contract. Okay? So these are the type of players they need to nurture as their roster has had turnover. So I'm not necessarily worried about them. The bigger question is, who will they be playing in the Western Conference Finals?
Well, who really knows at this point? It is too early to even tell. Like, it could be one of 6 or 7 teams who they're going to play in the Western Conference.
Correct, but we know they're going to be there. Now, the flip to answer your part to the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics, Danny Ainge has done a terrific job of accumulating assets. Okay, the Boston Celtics probably have an opportunity to get 3 first-round picks this year. Mm-hmm. He's the Bobby Fischer of the NBA.
Playing chess.
I think this is the year, during this season, he has to cash in some of those chips.
Okay. So let's get right to this, because the Celtics have sputtered out of the starting gate. They are now at 10-10 on the season, and they played the Mavs in Boston and lost. Luka did his thing. Mm-hmm. They played and lost. So this does kind of feel like a broken team. Like, this is surprising everyone who's been paying attention to the NBA, just how slowly they've started. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. They've been losing games. They weren't even in some games. Gordon Hayward doesn't look like himself. Kyrie Irving is playing great, but it's just kind of funky what is happening there. So you say that Danny Ainge should cash in some of those chips, use some of those assets. As I say, color up at the end of the night. Take all those 25s and turn them into hundreds, right? How do you think that happens? When do you think it happens? Who do you think it happens for? Tell us what's going to happen with this Celtics team.
If I'm the Pelicans, I'm not taking any calls for Anthony Davis.
Okay.
Because I don't have to hear that conversation just yet.
Could that change in the next couple months?
It all depends on the deals that teams are offering. Mm-hmm. And this is why the Boston Celtics are unique in that they have great young talent that has shown all-star level potential and greatness in Tatum and really good in Jaylen Brown. And Scary Terry has shown he could be a starting point guard in the game. Al Horford slowed down some.
He has a little bit. No one's really talking about Al Horford this year.
He slowed down some. Gordon Hayward has a maximum contract, is not playing up to it, and you can't move him. So now it's, how can we get something in return? You clearly got the first-round picks. See what somebody will give you for Horford. See what you could really get
Rozier's got to be on the table.
See what you really can get for Kyrie.
What? Oh, wait. Are you suggesting, sir, that Kyrie Irving could potentially move?
I'm suggesting that in the dynamic of this team and the way it's built, nobody can be untouchable for me except Tatum.
Okay.
So if I have to parlay 1 or 2 of my good young players and or Kyrie Irving, who's probably my number 1 asset, into getting me another perennial all-star that allows me to still cultivate the style of play that I have. Remember, the Celtics were ball movement and late in games. Guess what they're doing? Offense for defensive substitutions. Mm-hmm. Guess what other top point guards in the league ain't doing? Sitting on the bench
with 45 seconds left
because of substitution patterns. And so you try to see what you can garner in return. You don't force it. You don't rush it. If I'm building a team, I'm trying to build around a guy like Kyrie Irving. This is not in any way, shape, or form disparaging his game. I'm just saying, as a Celtic team that made it to the conference finals without him, maybe you could use him as a piece that could put you over the top.
So this is just really interesting to me, because if I'm looking at the Celtics roster and I'm thinking about putting Kyrie Irving, who's, I don't know, what do we call him? One of the best 10, 15 players in the National Basketball Association. I'm trying to upgrade in the front court. Like, it seems like if they've got front court positions that they need to upgrade in rather than back court positions.
Here's the thing. If somebody's going to take Al Horford contract off your hands in the final year of his deal, that works. So you could say, here's Al Horford, here's Morris. Probably have to give up one of your young players like Brown and or Smart and or Rozier. But then that allows you to keep Kai. But you just gave up 4 players.
Yeah. So we already are talking crazy about the Celtics saying they potentially trade Kyrie Irving, potentially trade Horford. Do you think Danny Ainge is actually making phone calls about this?
I think he's receiving them. It's 2 ways to do it. You just said it. Either do it from the front court or the back court.
But here's another thing. Jalen, do you know what's happened to me in the last month? For the first time in my life, I'm looking at Brad Stevens sideways. What? For the first time since he's been a head coach in the NBA, I'm looking at him being like, I don't know. I always thought he would figure this out. I thought he was kind of bulletproof.
Well, in his defense, Gordon Hayward isn't the player he was before injury, and it's probably going to still take time. So you put him in the starting lineup, now he's a reserve, so that becomes a bad move. And you couldn't have foresaw that happening. I mean, the guy, when he rehabs from the injury, you hope he's at his best. You want to put him out there for opening day. He's just not able to play like the player that he did in the past. But their backcourt is crowded. They have multiple assets there.
They do.
Great.
And all of that, they have 3 number 1 picks, potentially 3. There's a lot of things that you could break. But it looks like they have 3 number 1 picks coming in. Someone's got to come out.
And you can't only just, quote unquote, trade rookie deals for talent in return. Like, you're not just trading Jaylen Brown for the average second or third year player on a contract.
It's safe to say, based on this conversation, that we kind of feel similarly. The Warriors, they're fine. They're injured. They're going to get healthy. They're going to be number 1 in the Western Conference. And they're going to be in the Western Conference Finals. The Celtics, though, kind of broke.
Toronto was the number 1 seed and clearly improved when they added Kawhi. Serge Ibaka's playing quality minutes. Valanciunas, Pascal, Siakam. They're balling.
Do you agree that the Celtics are broken? I think this Celtics team is
That's
broken.
why I said
this is not just a bad start.
That's why I said he has to now cash in those chips. The Sixers are coming.
So you're saying, as currently constructed, you do not see the Celtics in the NBA Finals?
No, they don't play defense and they don't score in the paint.
Jalen Rose, do you remember, just a week ago when everyone was talking about, is Duke going to go undefeated? Can Duke beat the Fab Five? Is this the best Duke team that we've ever seen? Well, guess what they did? They lost to Gonzaga. Not only did they lose to Gonzaga, they were kind of like Army was kind of in a game. Auburn was kind of in a game. Jalen, I have a theory that this loss is actually going to be great for the Duke Blue Devils. Do you think that this loss could actually be a good thing for Duke?
I think it's going to be terrific, wonderful, fantastic, because what ends up happening, especially for a young basketball team, is winning becomes the best deodorant. And when you're trying to correct mistakes, and Coach K is arguably the greatest to ever do it, along with John Wooden. Just when you're a young kid, you're like, oh, we gonna figure it out. We got more talent. We faster. We can jump higher. That mistake, it didn't cost us. And then when you go against a team that's ranked in the top 3 like yourselves in Gonzaga, but also has a level of experience.
Yes.
All of a sudden it gets exposed. Like, they have size. They're blocking shots. They're contesting. They're moving the ball offensively.
And defense, making it hard.
And they're playing disciplined basketball. And so I think this learning experience is going to help the Blue Devils moving forward.
I agree as well. We always say that the executives don't listen to the podcast, but they do watch the show. They clearly were watching the show because they noticed that we haven't talked about LeBron James yet. And they wrote an email. So now it is time for a segment that we're calling We Have to Talk About LeBron So We Don't Get Canceled.
Wow, look at that hairline.
Yeah, that was on Media Day. He gets it together for Media Day. Well, the Lakers lost to the Magic, but they are 9-3 in their last 12. And when you look at the Western Conference standings, they're up there, 11-8 after that really slow start. Jalen, is this the real Lakers, this over 500 successful team, or is the real Lakers that slow start, Luke Walton might get fired Lakers?
This is the real Lakers once they added Tyson Chandler. And you saw different times in the game where LeBron James was stuck guarding a 5. He was doing a lot of that earlier in the year. Now he doesn't have to do it as much.
It's tiring, though.
That helps.
It's tiring.
And it also now allows you to slot JaVale McGee's minutes. They can play offense and defense together down low. It puts Kuzma and Ingram in a position where they don't have to be the tallest person on the floor for your team in a lot of cases. And so this is who the Lakers are. They are amongst a lot of teams that clearly are going to vie for the playoffs, have an opportunity to advance. I don't think they have what it takes to make it to a conference final.
Can I do the media member thing and read way too much into something?
Sure.
Maybe Rajon Rondo getting hurt isn't the worst thing to happen for Lonzo Ball. Maybe Lonzo Ball is a little more comfortable out there, knowing that he doesn't have a short leash, knowing that there's not an all-star level veteran right there that Luke Walton can point at and take him out of the game at any time.
Well, Luke Walton just trying to win. Magic Johnson didn't hire him. He inherited him. Mm-hmm. And you know how it works in professional sports. You got to do a really good job, exceed expectations, or people are going to be talking about who's replacing you. And so I think Luke is a really good coach, whether he's there long-term or not. But with that being said, it's only one ball. Rajon Rondo, LeBron James clearly, Lonzo Ball, they all function best, and Lance, when they have the ball.
There's actually 4 balls. There's LeVar, LiAngelo, Lonzo, and LaMelo.
I like
those are the 4 balls. Finally, now that the Thanksgiving leftovers are out of the fridge, it's time to turn our attention to the holiday season. And the holiday season is about gifts. And when you have gifts, you have to wrap gifts. Well, guess what? Jimmy Dean Sausage has innovated gift wrapping. They have sausage-scented gift wrap.
What?
Are you in or you out on sausage-scented gift wrap?
I want to see what it look like. If it look like satin and got that nice bow on it, like I'll see.
It's got the Jimmy Dean logo on it. I did some research for this topic. It's got the Jimmy Dean logo on it and everything. I just feel like people are going to expect sausage to be inside. That's the problem.
I like that satin-looking wrapping paper. Christmas challenge for everyone for the holiday season. Be kind to others, be thoughtful to others, and buy things for other people.
I can accept that challenge.
Getting knocked down on the football field makes you tough. But getting back up makes you tougher. At Goodyear, we call that determination. A willingness to put in more hours, more reps, and more heart to reach a bar that's sky high. Because the Goodyear blimp doesn't show up for just anybody. So don't be just anybody. Be blimp-worthy. Goodyear, more driven.
Can I derail Reavers real quick?
No.
You're on the phone anyway. So here's the thing. Our intro is so dope. It's so dope.
So we haven't done pods for 6 days, and you want to talk about our show.
So dope.
So much happened in sports.
I appreciate it.
Our show.
I appreciate it.
I got complaints about the intro.
My point is, I want us to bring the intro to life. I want to be able to use it on social media. I want our fans to be able to share it with one another. I want that to be a thing, a real thing.
Okay. And then when all the people's publishers ask us about the intro, you gonna bring those checks to life?
So I need to clear it to post it?
You can post it. Here's my thing. Now, we talked about taking Kanye out. And a huge shout to whoever on Twitter tweeted me this. We never talked about taking Beatnuts out. Reggie, play the intro again.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN.
When I pop the trunk, hit the deck.
Okay, it's in. Someone tweeted me that the Beatnuts were out, and I was like, what?
What?
I don't know. Look, things happen to this show without my consent.
We don't, hold on, hit the brakes. No. We don't change too much. We had that same intro for 6 or 7 years.
What?
That is not accurate. Number one. Number two, Beatnuts, Breed, Pimp C, Redman. That foursome. I would like our fans to be able to share that on social media. I would like to be able to use it. It is so dope. I'm just complimenting our amazing program. I haven't done this show in multiple days. I'm enthusiastic.
It's great to have you back. It's great to have you back.
I'm enthusiastic to be here.
How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was not too good.
What happened?
What?
The Bears. Yeah.
Did you really think the Lions were going to win, though?
Yeah, they were without Trubisky.
But you thought they would look better than they did.
You don't.
I didn't even really have to pay attention to the game because I knew it wasn't even close. Like I was checking in on it while I was doing other things.
There's something else you don't check in on or pay attention to. Me. I tried to tell everyone, what is Thanksgiving Day mean for my Detroit Lions?
It's the Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl.
Y'all lose the Super Bowl a lot.
Yep.
Maybe you guys should stop looking at it like the Super Bowl and stop ruining your holidays.
We had great performances. Not on the field.
Let me tell you something, Jay.
Kerryon Johnson wasn't playing, though.
Nope.
He's a beast.
Let me tell you something. Thanksgiving at a restaurant was great.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
It was a great experience. First of all, I got Marcus Spears on social media coming after me. Then I got all the Marcus Spears hive coming after me, too, on social media, telling me what a soft move it is to go to a restaurant. I got Grandma in a wheelchair. She's 97, okay? You suggested me carrying her up the chairs. She breaks bones in a stiff wind. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be the result of some spinal injury because I slung her over my shoulder trying to take her up the stoop, right? And then we wheel her in at a restaurant. They gave us this. We went early, like 4:30, so it was kind of empty in there. Had this nice long table, set up nice foliage displayed on it with some tall candles. It was great. And then, you know what happened? Mediocre food. I didn't mind. Mediocre food. The stuffing was the only thing that was any good. I didn't mind the food was mediocre because
People was coming at me when I said stuffing and dressing is overrated.
And then, you know what I did? I drove Grandma home back to her place in Queens, and I came home. There was no dishes to do. You know? And I was driving, so I wasn't drinking all day. And the kids were already in pajamas when I got home. Had a nice tall glass of wine and just looked at my clean house. Said, this is the best.
But what did you actually eat? Like, the one thing about Thanksgiving.
Sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry, Brussels sprouts, turkey, pumpkin pie, creme brulee, cup of coffee.
You got the real experience.
Yeah. It was but it was just, everything was mediocre. Like, you know, usually the food has seasoning. I was like, where's the salt?
Need some Lowry's. Keep it in your bag like Beyonce.
It was good. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the podcast. I know it's been a while. We didn't leave you with a dope pod to step to. We're back with 5 pods this week. When we get into your voicemails, make sure you call 985-80-JALEN. Follow us on Instagram.
Follow me!
Jalen and Jacoby. Follow us on Twitter.
Follow me!
Jalen and Jacoby.
Talk to Kayla Johnson.
Yeah, she's really
the best in the business.
She's the best in the
Green
business.
flying and posting
you
and
can
doing
follow
what
Kayla
she do.
too, but I always forget how to say her Instagram.
A.E. Johnson.
She's out there. We out here. Instagram at Jalen and Jacoby. Make sure you give us a follow. We'll be back tomorrow. Why is that, KRS?
We're not done.
We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
They my little guys. I love them.
From our whiskey to our music. In New Orleans, every note matters. That's why every sip of Southern Comfort dances to the same vibe as our birthplace. It can be strong and smooth all at once. And no matter what, it's always authentic. So go ahead, take a big sip. Southern Comfort, the spirit of New Orleans. Discover more at southerncomfort.com.